Yeah.
So I think with this, yes, sir.
So we have Colonel Professor Dr. Satpathy.
Right.
He would be the speaker now. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. To restart it again. This is a presentation in which we have tried to trace the neurotraces in marketing dynamics as far as the choice of the strategies are concerned. Choice by the consumer or the customer like you and I, and strategies by the marketeer. how do they trash out a transaction as far as the desire for a GPS, that is a good product or service, is mandated, and how does the ownership change when we buy it? Fine. So what we did is that we first collected some theoretical evidence, and I'm very honored and happy to share that one of the organizers of this conference, Dr. Dababrata Chaudhary, is, I would say, a co-traveler in an academic journey, and I'm so blessed that he's today present at this occasion. So as we all know that we, the human beings, are at crossroads. We do not know what decision to take, what choices to make, what preferences to show, what beliefs and taste and faith do we have. We are at crossroads because either it's a problem of plenty or it is a problem of empty. We don't have anything to choose. So the cerebral sciences and business world today, in the 21st century, they have really meshed well, gelled well. They have married each other, and today the world of business administration, or what we call MAD, MAD, business management, business administration, and business development, management, administration, development, MAD. This MAD concept of business cannot divorce itself from cerebral sciences. And as we see that there is an unbounded scrolling and interpolations and the disruptive cerebral guesstimates, choice is actually a guesstimate, guess plus estimate throughout the world, and it is plagued with non-orthodox business replicas and disruptors. So there are 4 choices before we, as a marketing student, marketing advocate, as a marketeer, as a seller, as a customer, as a buyer, or in one word, as an agent of marketing or business. Number 1, we have to decide what to decide. We have to prefer what to prefer. We have to decide what to prefer, and we have to prefer what to decide. So this 4, like the Johari window, this 4, we have to dilly-dally between this 4, and we have to arrive at a conclusion. Now, sir, economic choices today is a matter of biohuman sciences. As I said, they have gelled well, meshed well. And these preferences, they shape our economic life, they shape our social life, or in one word, the socio-economic life. They have a link with our human brain, the anthropoid brain, and whatever literature survey we have done, or whatever literature is available in the world of business management today, they are all filled with queries and conjectural feasibilities. Everything is possible. Why did I take this decision? There is a reason. Why I did not take a decision? There is a reason. Why I deferred a decision? There is a reason. So it is primarily a design attitude. If I take a decision, defer a decision, or discard a decision, I have an attitude which is linked with me, and it's a design attitude, or it's a matter of critical thinking. So we try to experiment as to how the human blood can aid us to bail us out. Now, what we did is that we tried to bring about the hematological parametric counts, the CBC, or the complete blood count, and then we tried to mesh it with cognitive and biological evidence. We have taken some academic help from the literature of James Orquin, but we found out it is the only study available on the website that is related to blood glucose decision making. And then we tried to juxtapose all this CBC with problematic situations. We quietly observed as to why a buyer is buying this. If he's not buying, how a seller is coaxing him to buy. And we are all victims of that on a later when our lady wives go to a shop to buy a sari. You know how many saris they just take out from the shelf, look for the color, look for the texture, look for the price tag, look for the blouse piece, look for the color, etc., etc. Finally, they say, no, I don't want to buy. Okay, this is also a decision-making process. And we try to see as to what are the appropriate responses. How do the people respond? And so we have framed a new word, Pastagian. Like the previous speaker said, that the pandemic has really eaten off the economic and social fabric of our society, the business society. So we have framed a new word. It is nothing but business plus contagion. It is visitagion. Nothing, not a word to be seen in the Wikipedia. And then we saw that we are now on an interdisciplinary turf where the disruptive cerebral guesstimates are taking a toll of our decision-making process. So the methodology that we adopted was a very simple, neat methodology which can be introduced in all the MBA curriculum. This is an appeal to the August audience. We can now test decision-making through the hematological apparatus. This is number one. I'm sure most of the learned audience know this. And we try to decide the near optimal economic choice. We can never ever in this life say that I have arrived at a decision. No, we have just arrived at a stage where we are about to take a decision. So it's a near optimal decision. Optimal, again, based on guesstimates, because given another substitute, complementary, or any other option, we usually think, if you say that this is the best cell phone available in the world, I said, no, there is another cell phone. Why don't you have a look? So we always try to ponder, oh, is it, so we never take a decision. We arrive at a decision, a near optimal decision. Well, the approach was to address the amalgamation of the existing mechanisms. Whatever was there, through the blood count, we tried to find out the blood biochemistry, the blood counts, the blood matrices of the buyer and the seller. We try to see how much creatinine they have. We try to see how much glucose they have. We try to see how much urea they have. We try to see what all agents go up and down while going in for a bargaining, for a negotiation. So this was primarily based on the blood counts. And we found out that the decision-making process takes time. It's quite erratic initially, but sometimes when we take a decision, we usually compromise that, oh, this is the best decision I could take. Sorry, this is not the scenario anymore. We try to bring in the old models. We try to see as to what are the old behavioral models available on decision making. And we saw that this blood approach is something new, novel. And we decided to get embedded to that. And we try to find out some interpolations also, because we try to mix and match the results from the blood estimates along with eye tracking. To our utter surprise, about 93.7 of the data from each block, they were matching. So that was a nice thing. And these experiments were carried out at Taiwan as a part of an international project. And the results that we saw, that it was quite near optimal as arrived through the CBC calculations. And one of the conclusions, I don't say inference, one of the conclusions that we have drawn is that the neuro agent or the entrepreneur, he decides, he creates an option, because he never rests with a decision, and he tries to address, when we go to a shop or to a market, the salesman tries to impinge upon us his own, oh, this is the best which has arrived, this is a new piece which has arrived, these are the plus points, this is what benefits you'll get, if you buy one you will get one free. So it tries to corrupt our brain. Because our brain is malleable as well as ductile. So he tries to create, and we generally become a slave of a neuro or near optimal choice. But never forget, ladies and gentlemen, there are alternatives, complementaries, and substitutes. And this circuit is just like a vicious circle. So the keywords that I have spoken till now is the CBC count, the near optimal choice, and the preference and the cerebral guesstimates. Now, some of the questions that have come up, and I would invite each one of you who is interested in this field, let's have an argument. Let's have, I call it as a DAD model, DAD, debate, argument, and discussion. And let's frame a paper on this. See, what is the notion of causation in sciences of brain and mind? Does every cause have an effect, or is every effect superseded or preceded by a cause? And are there different experimentation approaches? Yes, there are. Is it highly explicit and implicit? Yes, both. What counts as causal evidence? What is the causal evidence? Okay, is blood the only parameter? Is eye tracking the only parameter? How would the smell? The olfactory analysis. How would the skin? The electrodermal analysis. We need to juxtapose that also in the classroom, in the lab. And what role is played by the cognitobiological and physical mechanisms? Because there is some sort of a mismatch which we perceive between the brain, the body biology, and the physical mechanisms. And The biggest question which I would now like to highlight in red: are researchers using the right models? I presume yes. In majority of the cases, I presume no. In majority of the major portions of the world. And is there a new analysis? Yes, there is a new analysis which we claim here, and we need to confess that we do not know the incursion of data. You know, sometimes the data try to outplay each other. Fine. So the purpose and objective is that how does the brain absorb information? Theories are many, practicals are many, but for a pure neuromanagement professor or a student or a faculty, this is an area where he can exploit and explore. How does the brain absorb information? I have always propounded, I have always spoken that every good B school, management school, should have either a radiologist or a neurologist in one of its faculty, as one of its faculty, because we can't, with an MBA and a PhD, straight away become a faculty and spend our time. I don't think that's academic justice. We need to have a radiologist or a neurologist or a psychology expert in a fraternity. So how does the brain frame problematic situations? This brain, the small brain, 1.4 kgs, 1400 grams, how does it frame problematic situations? And in tandem, how do they find out the appropriate responses? How does the brain act and react? And what is the Bustagian management? Okay, fine. COVID-19 was a case which we all agree, but is there COVID 2023 coming up? We don't know. Is there any other pandemic coming up? We don't know. Is it going to bring about a contagion effect on the socio-economic fabric? Yes, it will. It will, as COVID-19 has proved, and the previous speaker has already spoken from New Zealand. So in that scenario, how can the entrepreneurs and how can we as marketeers choose what to do? Should we wait for the pandemic to come, like locust swarming, or we should be forewarned? And to conclude, sir, do we really have a near optimal choice? Is it possible? So some of the methodologies that we have been doing, and still we are continuing with a few experts in USA and Japan. These are some of the things we are doing, and we are primarily going in for the complete blood analysis, because that's an easy task for us. We, as management faculty, we can't be going strictly into the neurology regimen because we are not trained in neuro. And then the discussion that I would like to initiate in this forum is that, well, even if it is in the coffee break, these 4 or 5 questions during the coffee break. Can we really import the hematological dimension into our decision-making process as a marketeer, as a HR professional, as an IT professional? Can we? Yes, we must. So the summary is that the fluctuating blood glucose, they really affect our optimal choice. There is a connection between the blood count levels and the cognitive thinking, the cognitive apparatus. There will be fluctuations which will lead us to various inferences. We need to study the biological underpinnings of entrepreneurship in the Department of Business or Department of Entrepreneurship or Department of Industrial Studies or Industrial Relations, because biology and the blood molecules are shaping the entrepreneur behavior today. Inference, I would only request you to read the red lines. The drastic drop in blood reflects lack of perfect resilience to absorb shocks in business. And in a state of normalcy, hematological indices are normal and within normal range, and the blood molecules, they jump. As and when there is a fluctuation in the blood molecules, there is a fluctuation even in the market. Like if the market is falling, we are quite scared. Our amygdala starts functioning, fight, flight, fright. When the market is going up, gaga, excellent, economy is booming up, GDP 8, oh, we are so happy, my shares are going up, my market is going to boom. So the conclusion before I sign off, sir, behavioral management is a set of deviations and anomalies. We need to take care of that, we need to arrest that, and we need to have some cogent and significant explications and results. And through the demonstrations, trials, and monitoring, we need to update ourselves as management faculty, as students of business administration, management, and development. This tactical oriented neuro agent, they address responses to choice, And the final bottom line statement in bold, underline, inverted commas is that there is a hematogenetic effect to entrepreneurial choice, and that really brings about a cascading effect on the behavior of the marketeer, behavior of the market, and behavior of the economy. Thank you very much, sir. Within the stipulated time, I think I have finished it. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Any questions? I would love to address it, sir.
Thank you, Colonel Professor Satpathy. We have Professor Dinesh Irani had to leave, so I had to take over the session now because he has urgent commitment which came up. Now, I would like to invite question from the audience for Colonel Professor Satpathy.
Well,
it's quite an observing. Yeah, that is Professor, my conference chair, Professor David Way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
it's an honor.
May I ask a quick question?
I've learned from you.
But it's I think an important question. I found your presentation excellent, very clear, and I learned a lot from it. I'm just a bit puzzled about why you chose hematology. I like very much the analysis you gave. I agree with a lot of it. I think we learn a lot, certainly from neuroscientists, and we're learning more all the time from people like Antonio Damasio and people who are drawing our attention to the neurophysiological infrastructure, which at a certain sort. How do, if I say most, and I think you'll agree, most of business school teaching in the world on the Western model, let's say the Harvard model, the models that most of us have grown up with, are based on a rational economic model and models of individual economistic behavior. Let's call it the economistic rational model. How do we begin to persuade those of our colleagues who are totally wedded to this and believe this is the only way to conceptualize the individual human in the framework of entrepreneurial choice, let's say? How do we persuade them that they have to start a stage further back and ask where does positive economics come from? Why does it obliterate and omit in its analysis the affective, emotional, and neurophysiological underpinnings? What is the political strategy to adopt for that?
Chairman, sir, could I please request you to summarize Professor David's question? Chairperson, sir?
Yeah.
What's his question, please?
Yeah, Professor David, in fact, if he wants, our Colonel Satpathy wants the question to be reframed. If
short one. I learned a lot from him. Now I've stolen some ideas, but what's his actual question, please?
Well, I think the question is not whether your analysis is right or wrong. It's whether it's useful. And I believe that your analysis can be very useful. So the obstacles are the mindset of most people who teach in business schools and most people who follow the conventional individualistic, rational economic paradigm. How do we persuade them to look on a more broad framework? Because we have some opportunity now. People are understanding, thanks to the analysis of the previous speaker about climate change, global warming. People are starting to understand that it's simply too late. We haven't got time. We can't afford to do more of the same. So what is the political strategy going to be to get your ideas, which I think in the main are very good and useful ideas, into the discourse?
Sir, what I have been doing till now is that each and every management school at the bottom level, each and every business school should have a lab wherein they should test all the theories, models, axioms, postulates, everything. This is one. Number two, every faculty, whether he or she belongs to the world of HR or industrial relations or marketing or IT, they should bring in an interdisciplinary approach towards their teaching pedagogy, and they should also bring in an interdisciplinary flavor into their research approach. Dr. Dababrata has already taken the baby steps in this field, and I'm sure he is going to champion the cause. Number three, there has to be a government policy. There has to be a government policy, or I would say a government regulation, that any B school which is existing today or which is going to come up tomorrow should have an interdisciplinary faculty. It is not only that with a background of MBA and a PhD, I get instructed as a faculty. Number four, we should have a neurologist, a radiologist, and a perfect biologist from the biological sciences who should be taken as a faculty, either as a faculty or as a consultant or as an advisor or as an external resource person, ERP. Number five, we can start offering courses on neuromanagement. I believe Caltech has already taken a lead, and there are some good researchers who are working out in US of A as well as in Europe. We need to build a MOU. We need to enact a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with all these organizations and try to borrow and absorb the cross currents in neuromanagement. For example, Alan Sanfe has written a lot on neuromanagement along with Paul Glimcher and Antonio Damasio. Next, the student internship or the faculty internship should be in this area so that we broaden the business administration, business management, business development scholarship. The government employees who go for refresher courses, the MDPs and the FDPs, should be indoctrinated into this new upcoming field, right? And there should be a free flow of resource persons, resource knowledge, and information packages between countries, because we need to learn from each other. There is nothing known as a developing country or an underdeveloped country as far as knowledge transaction is concerned. There is nothing known as I'm highly developed in knowledge management and you are low developed in knowledge management. No, we have good champions in countries like Jordan, and we have also very good economists from the Asian sector, like Bangladesh boasts of a Nobel laureate in economics. So the biggest thing, Professor David sir, is we need to open our brains. The cognitive doors have to be open. We have to break. We have to disrupt and destroy the shackles that is there in our brain. Like I would like to quote the famous economist Karl Marx. He said, "Laborers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but only your chains." I would say, management experts of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but only your cognitive shackles. So we need to have an open mindset, Professor. And as a father figure, I think Professor David, you can start advising one and all. And this global conference that is taking place, this is the perfect platform wherein a white paper can be made or a policy paper can be made and presented to one and all. And we need to collaborate. We need to collaborate irrespective of gender, age, nationality, status, position. Instead of a round table conference, we need to have a rectangular table conference where we can have more of the knowledgeable persons, the resource persons assembling, pooling, and I said that, sir, we need to follow a DAD model: debate, argue, and discuss in the interest of scholarship. So these are some of the baby steps that we can take. And unfortunately, I'm in India. I don't have access to a lab. I would definitely love to visit you and learn from you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I should like to visit you and learn from you too.
Oh, no, not at all, sir. You are a father figure.
Please.
Thank you, Thank you, Professor Satpathy. Now, thanks so much. I think we have to conclude the sessions. Actually, this is a session chaired by Professor Dinesh Israni and the co-chaired by Saurabh Pandey. Mr. Saurabh Pandey, both unfortunately have to leave. But now we have to go into the next sessions, which I would invite my colleague, Professor Dr. Debabrata Chaudhary, to take over. But I also would like to announce that the closing of the sessions would be with an extended exposition from Professor Bob Odell and Bob Sinclair. And